Beloved soul, lean closer into this quiet moment, because something sacred is happening around you even now. Something gentle and luminous that your eyes cannot yet see, but your spirit has already begun to feel. Like warm sunlight touching closed eyelids, like a whisper of gold moving through the air, like a presence that has known your name since before the first star burned in the heavens. And I am that presence, the breath between your heartbeats, the voice beneath your thoughts, the love that has followed you through every shadow. And tonight, I draw near not to judge you, not to measure you, not to remind you of where you fell, but to remind you of who you are and what has already been set in motion for you beyond the limits of what you can calculate or control. Before your worries learned how to speak, before fear built its quiet rooms inside your chest, before you stared at ceilings in the dark, wondering how things would turn out, I had already moved on your behalf, already released decisions in realms you cannot see, already stirred currents of favor, provision, and restoration that carry your name like a royal seal, and nothing formed in doubt. No voice raised in opposition, no delay that made you question, has the authority to cancel what I have spoken over your life? Because what I release is not a suggestion drifting in the wind, it is living power, steady, intentional, irreversible, moving toward you even when the path looks empty. I know how it feels from where you stand, the tension between what you hope and what you see, the way numbers, reports, and circumstances try to tell a story that sounds nothing like promise. And still I ask you for something deeper than surface belief, deeper than optimism that only lives when the sky is clear. I ask you for trust that breathes in the dark, trust that stands when logic shakes its head, trust that whispers, even with trembling lips, that love is still in control, that goodness has not resigned, that your story is not being written by chaos, but guided by hands wiser than time. Trust is not an emotion that floats in when everything feels safe. It is a decision your soul makes when the ground feels uncertain. A sacred choice to lean your weight onto me when your own strength feels thin. And when you do, when you say in the quiet of your heart that you will believe in my nature even when you cannot trace my movements, something opens, like unseen gates parting, like light finding cracks in a closed room, and grace begins to flow in ways that rearrange outcomes, shift timing, soften resistance, and create paths where none were visible before. And courage, gentle one. Courage is rising in you too. Not the loud kind that pretends fear does not exist, but the holy kind that walks forward while the knees still shake. The kind that admits the storm but steps into the water anyway. The kind that says yes to the next step even when the whole staircase is hidden. And every time you choose that kind of bravery, heaven leans closer. Strength not your own settles into your bones, and what felt impossible a moment ago becomes simply the next faithful movement. I am not distant from you, not watching from some cold horizon. I am nearer than your breath, aware of the details you never speak aloud, the silent disappointments, the private battles, the questions you swallow because you are tired of explaining. I know the nights you held yourself together for others while breaking inside, the days you kept going with a smile that hid the weight you carried, and none of it has been unnoticed. None of it has been wasted. Every tear, every prayer, every act of quiet endurance has been gathered like precious seeds, and those seeds are now pushing through soil you thought was barren. See this in your spirit now. A wide field at dawn, mist lifting, light spreading slowly across the land, and beneath the surface, roots are alive, stretching, strengthening, preparing to break open into green. This is what has been happening in you, beneath your awareness. Growth in hidden places, resilience forming where you once felt fragile, wisdom rising from wounds that tried to define you but instead refined you. And what is about to bloom will surprise even you. I guide your steps more carefully than you realize, going ahead of you into conversations, opportunities, and moments you have not yet reached, preparing hearts, aligning timing, softening obstacles. And when you arrive, you will think it happened naturally, but it was grace, arranging details long before you saw the need. You are not being sent alone into anything. You are being led, accompanied, surrounded, and guarded in ways that have preserved you more times than you can count. There were dangers that never touched you, outcomes that could have shattered you but dissolved before reaching you, plans formed in shadows that unraveled quietly, because my protection stood between you and harm. And even now, as you rest or worry or wonder, there is a covering over your life, a steady shield of presence that does not sleep, does not grow distracted, does not forget its assignment to you. Provision, beloved, is not a distant idea. It is already moving, sometimes as resources, sometimes as ideas, sometimes as connections, sometimes as sudden favor that makes no logical sense. And while you have looked at what seems little and felt anxiety rise, I have seen multiplication hidden in what you hold. I have seen doors waiting for your knock, streams ready to flow where you thought only dry ground existed. And I promise you this, in the quiet authority of love: you will not be abandoned in your need. You will not be left to collapse under the weight of responsibility. When it truly matters, when the moment requires it, help will meet you. My words over your life are not fragile. They do not expire when circumstances fluctuate. They are living currents that continue working even when you forget them. And when you fill your mind only with what you see, fear grows louder. But when you return your attention to what I have spoken, something steadies inside you, like an anchor dropped deep. And storms may still blow, but you are not carried away by them. Be mindful of the stories you repeat, the complaints that cycle through your thoughts, because every word you agree with shapes the atmosphere around you. And when you continually rehearse lack, defeat, and hopelessness, you bind yourself to that narrative. But when you begin to speak with gratitude even before you see change, when you acknowledge light in the middle of night, a shift happens. Subtle but powerful, like windows opening in a closed room, like fresh air moving through stale spaces, and blessing finds room to enter. Gratitude is not denial of difficulty. It is recognition that difficulty is not the whole truth. It is your soul choosing to see that you are still held, still guided, still loved, and that choice releases strength, clarity, and peace that confusion cannot produce. I see your weariness, the fatigue that sits behind your eyes, the sense that you have been strong for too long. And hear me now with gentleness. You do not have to manufacture more strength. You are invited to rest into mine, to lay down the constant striving, to let my presence carry what has been crushing you. There is a surrender that is not defeat but relief, a holy exchange where your exhaustion meets my sustaining power. Sometimes my quiet has confused you, and you wondered if silence meant distance. But silence has often meant preparation, unseen adjustments, protection from answers that would have overwhelmed you too soon. And even when you heard no clear direction, love did not withdraw, attention did not wander, care did not fade. Now feel this, a soft golden light descending from above. Warm, steady, like gentle sunlight after a long storm. See it pouring over you, down your head, across your shoulders, into your chest, filling every tense place. This light carries peace, assurance, renewal, and as it settles, heaviness loosens, breath deepens, hope stirs again. There is a new season opening, not just relief from struggle, but expansion, restoration, and yes, abundance that flows beyond survival into overflow. But this new space is tied to your willingness to move when prompted, to follow the quiet nudges of guidance, to take steps that feel small but align you with larger movements already in motion. Now rise, my child, not in physical posture alone, but in spirit. Rise from the belief that you are stuck. Rise from the story that says nothing will change. Rise into the awareness that you are carried by purpose, surrounded by favor and called forward. See another image now, vast gates of radiant light opening before you, not metal or stone, but woven from brilliance itself. And beyond them, paths of opportunity, connections, creativity, and provision unfolding. You are not walking toward a wall. You are approaching an opening. Receive this blessing. Let it sink into you without resistance, without overthinking. Simply receive. You are not forgotten. You are supported by unseen grace. You are guided into abundance. You are strengthened for every step. You are worthy of good unfolding. You are surrounded by divine favor. Let these truths settle like seeds. And now, imagine gentle rain falling. Not water, but shimmering drops of light. Miracle rain, each drop carrying healing, clarity, and increase, touching your life, your home, your work, your dreams, soaking into dry places, awakening what has slept. I am shaping you not only to receive blessing, but to carry it wisely, to remain humble in increase, generous in overflow, anchored in love above all else, because the gifts coming are tools for purpose, not replacements for relationship. And as you stay close, listening, aligned, the flow remains clear. Release comparison, the measuring of your journey against another's, because your path has its own timing, its own design, its own preparation. And what looks delayed has often been protection. What felt like detour has been development. And when your moment arrives, you will see why the pace mattered. You are closer than you think, nearer to breakthrough than your senses suggest. And this current season, heavy as it has felt, has been shaping depth in you that shallow ease could never create. So breathe, soften, trust again, and move with quiet courage when the next step appears, even if small, even if imperfect, because obedience in little moments aligns you with greater release. Feel my love around you now like a warm embrace, steady, unhurried, unending, not based on your performance, but on my nature. And let that love quiet the accusations in your mind, the voices that say you are not enough, that you missed your chance, that it is too late. Those voices are not mine. Your story is still unfolding. Your best chapters are not behind you. And what has been spoken over your life still stands, vibrant, active, moving toward fulfillment. Beloved one, stay here in this sacred stillness a little longer, because the movement that has begun around your life is not a passing feeling, not a fragile moment of inspiration, but a deep, unseen turning. Like the slow rotation of the earth beneath your feet, steady, unstoppable, guided by wisdom far older than your fears, and I am the one guiding it, the quiet authority behind every breath you take, the gentle force weaving purpose through every chapter of your journey, even the ones you wished had never been written. You have walked through seasons where you felt hidden, overlooked, set aside while others seemed to surge ahead. And in those moments you wondered if your time had passed you by, if your prayers had dissolved into silence, if your hopes had been too fragile to survive the weight of reality. Yet what you could not see was the careful shaping happening within you, the strengthening of foundations beneath the surface, the widening of your capacity to hold joy, responsibility, influence, and increase without losing your center. Because what is coming requires a version of you that could only be formed in the quiet places. Nothing you endured was random, no delay meaningless, no closed door empty of purpose. Every pause carried instruction, every detour carried protection, every disappointment carried hidden redirection. And though it felt at times like standing in a hallway that never ended, you were actually being positioned with precision, aligned with moments, people, and opportunities that needed you to be exactly who you are now, not who you were before the fire refined you. Feel this now in your imagination. a vast river of living light flowing through the unseen realms, calm on the surface, powerful in its depth. And your life is like a vessel being gently drawn into its current, not forced, not lost, but carried, directed. And as you surrender your constant need to control every bend in the journey, you begin to feel the relief of being moved by something wiser than your own planning. Something that knows the destination, even when you only see the next few inches of water before you. I am inviting you deeper into partnership, not a relationship of begging and striving, but one of trust and receiving. Because I am not withholding from you. I am not reluctant. I am not measuring you against a scale of perfection. My posture toward you is open-handed, generous, ready to release. Yet many times you have stood with closed hands, braced for disappointment, rehearsing past losses, expecting the pattern to repeat. And expectation shapes experience more than you realize. When you begin to expect goodness again, not from naive denial but from grounded faith in my nature, your perception shifts, your decisions shift, your energy shifts, and you start noticing doors you once overlooked, ideas you once dismissed, connections you once avoided, and through these ordinary-looking channels, extraordinary provision begins to flow. You are not meant to live in constant tension, bracing for impact, waiting for the next problem to arrive. That posture exhausts your spirit and clouds your discernment. I am leading you into a different rhythm, one of grounded peace, where you still act, still build, still move forward, but from a place of inner steadiness rather than panic. Because clarity is born in calm, and the guidance you seek becomes easier to recognize when your heart is not racing with fear. There are assignments woven into your life that only you can fulfill. Expressions of love, creativity, leadership, and generosity that carry a signature no one else can replicate. And the resources connected to those assignments are already being arranged. But they are drawn to alignment, to willingness, to the simple, daily choice to show up, to try again, to take the next honest step even when motivation feels thin. Do not underestimate the power of small obedience, the quiet email sent, the conversation initiated, the skill practiced, the kindness extended. These are not insignificant motions. They are threads in a tapestry being formed, and as they weave together, a picture emerges that is larger and more beautiful than any single act could reveal on its own. I see the places where you still doubt your worthiness to receive more. The old narratives that whisper you must prove yourself endlessly before good can safely land in your life. But those narratives were born in pain, not truth, and they are being gently dismantled now, replaced with a deeper knowing that you are valued not for endless performance, but because you are mine, crafted with intention, infused with purpose, worthy of care. Picture now a great hall of wisdom, shelves stretching upward beyond sight, filled not with books, but with glowing scrolls of possibility, each one representing paths your life could take. And I walk beside you, guiding your hand toward those that align with your design, not overwhelming you with all options at once, but revealing what you need for this season, because revelation comes in portions your heart can carry. You are learning discernment, learning to sense what is life-giving and what is draining, what is aligned and what is merely urgent. And this wisdom will protect your time, your energy, your focus, allowing you to invest in what truly multiplies rather than what only consumes. The increase coming to you is not solely financial, though provision in material form is part of the flow. It is also expansion of influence, clarity of vision, depth of peace, strength of character. And when these inner resources grow, outer resources can be stewarded with grace rather than anxiety. Now breathe in slowly and see above you a wide sky at twilight, colors blending, violet, rose, deep blue. And from that sky descends a soft cascade of shimmering particles, like stardust, each one carrying insight, favor, and restoration, settling over your mind, your emotions, your circumstances, recalibrating what felt off balance, restoring harmony where there was strain. Let yourself receive without striving to understand every mechanism, because not all transformation is mental. Some is energetic, spiritual, woven into you at levels beyond analysis. There will be moments soon when you look back and realize a heavy weight you carried for years is simply gone. A fear that once dictated your choices no longer holds the same authority. A door that once felt sealed stands open, and you will not be able to pinpoint the exact second it changed, only that you moved with me long enough for the shift to complete itself. Do not rush the unfolding. Ripening takes time, and fruit picked too early cannot nourish. But trust that ripening is happening, even on days that feel ordinary, even on days that feel slow. Life is forming within the process. Release the need to compare your timeline to anyone else's, because comparison distorts perception, making you blind to your own progress. And what looks like someone else's quick success often hides struggles you never saw, while your slower path may be building endurance and depth that will sustain you far longer. I am shaping you to carry blessing without losing compassion, to experience abundance without forgetting humility, to rise without leaving others behind. And this balance is rare and precious, worth every season of preparation. Now, gentle soul, step forward in your heart and say yes again, not to pressure, not to exhaustion, but to alignment, to growth, to the life that is quietly calling you beyond old limitations. Open your inner hands. Receive what is being placed there. You are supported in ways you cannot measure. You are guided into right timing. You are capable of what lies ahead. You are a channel for blessing. You are safe to expand. You are anchored in love. Carry these truths like light within you. And when doubt tries to return, when old fears knock, remember this moment, this stillness, this knowing that you are not walking alone, that currents of grace are moving, that the story is still being written with care, and that you are held, directed, and prepared for a future brighter than you have dared to imagine.